Unfortunately, we are learning that it may be a more serious problem than we had originally anticipated.
Scarier than we initially thought. That's what the CDC is saying after doing more research about the Zika virus. Good evening, and thank you for joining us.
Doctors continue to learn more about the virus, and the CDC is now saying that the virus has been found in 30 states and can be spread sexually. Valley News Team's Giovanna Simic reports on how you and your family can stay safe.
Some know a lot about the Zika virus.
It is a huge concern considering that how fast it's transmitted and how easily it can affect everybody else in a small radius.
While others don't know much about it.
Not a whole lot, except for it was kind of big here, a couple months ago in South America.
Doctors can't agree on one thing about the virus.
We still don't know everything about the virus. There are a lot of unknowns, and we are learning new information every day.
The CDC says that the geographic range of the mosquitoes transmitting the virus has gone further north than expected, and they are learning new information about the virus every day.
The major issue with Zika virus is that it's not a new virus, but very little is known about what it can do to the human body.
The virus can be spread sexually, something that is a concern for couples who want to start a family.
Women who are trying to conceive and they have possibly Zika virus infection, CDC is recommending that you wait 8 weeks before attempting pregnancy.
Doctors are sure about one thing.
Getting a virus in your body doesn't necessarily mean that you will get the disease.
And they recommend everyone to start using bug spray since mosquito season is coming.
These go a long way in protecting mosquito bites, and with protecting mosquito bites, you are effectively protecting yourself against the virus.
In Fargo, Giovanna Simic, Valley News Live.
The CDC isn't sure how many babies of women infected by Zika will end up with birth defects or what drugs and vaccines may be effective. They say more research will figure that out.
Police say there's a lot more drug-fueled crime going on in Fargo than most people realize. In fact, people stealing from cars in Fargo has gone up a staggering 92% already this year. Since the opioid problem began, police are keeping their eyes on certain parts of the city. It's a problem downtown and in newer developments like Rose Creek and homes near the country club.
And it used to be when we have a burglary, the majority were not residential. They were fairly uncommon. Maybe once every week we'd have one. Now we're seeing a lot more burglaries, a lot more daytime residential burglaries. So that has spiked as well.
Police say a lot of people who have fallen victim to crimes have made themselves easy targets. They say lock up your homes and vehicles, and if you see anything suspicious, call police.
Just hours after surveillance photos were released on a gas station robbery, a tipster led police to the suspect. Samuel Cardos was arrested this afternoon. The Grand Forks County State's Attorney's Office is reviewing the robbery charge against him. Police say that Cardos is suspected of walking into the M&H on Sunday. They say he claimed to have a weapon and demanded money from employees.
And Grand Forks police are also trying to identify this man. He's a person of interest in a March burglary that happened at Cass Clay Creamery. Police are asking for your help. If you have information on either of these suspects, they'd like you to call this number, 787-8004.
UND hockey fans continued the celebration tonight, this time with the men's team after they won the national championship in Tampa, Florida over the weekend. A couple thousand people showed their support for the team tonight. In a release, Mayor Michael Brown proclaimed April 9th as UND Men's Hockey Day, and the remainder of April as the UND NCAA Hockey Championship season celebration. Part of that celebration includes green lights on the Sorley Bridge. It'll stay lit like that for 8 days, 1 day for each national title that the UND men's hockey team has won. And stay tuned. Valley News Team's Alex Egan will have much more on tonight's celebration in Grand Forks later in sports. And remember to like Valley News Live on our Facebook page. You can follow the latest news, weather, and breaking news updates anytime on your feed. Just search Valley News Live, like our page, and you'll stay informed throughout the entire day.
It's a new initiative in the state of Minnesota called Start by Believing. It aims to change the way society views sexual assault victims and to bring more suspects to court. It's called Start by Believing. Ramsey County Attorney John Choi is head of the campaign. He says it's an initiative where law enforcement and community advocates will work together to create a culture where victims feel more empowered to report their abuse. Also, it will also enable first responders to better respond to trauma without unintentional human biases. In 2010, in the state of Minnesota, there were 145 patients of sexual assault and only 124 were reported to law enforcement. In 2015, there were 143 patients and only 104 were reported to law enforcement. Choi is dedicating one prosecutor for the next 22 months to examine the entire process. The total cost to run the campaign, which will include training law enforcement and educating the community, will be $220,000.
Every year, school districts around the country are reporting parents who are choosing to opt their kids out of state standardized testing. In North Dakota and Minnesota, parents can opt their kids out of the testing, a move a Fargo mom who schools her children at home tells us why she believes the tests don't show a child's true potential.
It's not a very fair way to see how a child really is doing, because sometimes it's just the test itself that is enough to clam up and not be able to finish.
We reached out to several schools across the valley, Holly High School, Moorhead High, and North Fargo, to name a few. All of them tell us that no parents have told them their kids can't take the state testing, which begins this week. 75% of students at a Minneapolis high school have opted out of taking standardized tests.
Hundreds of people responded to a survey about getting their mail, and 3/4 of them say they have experienced challenges with the U.S. Postal Service. The survey was organized by Senator Heidi Heitkamp and follows multiple Valley News Live investigations after complaints of mail issues in a South Fargo neighborhood. Senator Heitkamp says in the 2 months since launching the survey, more than 400 people responded. North Dakotans say mail is being delivered to the wrong address or not being delivered at all, and others say there's not enough access to rural post offices. Heitkamp's original Fix My Mail initiative started in 2014. At that time, she had heard from more than 200 North Dakotans about frequent mail issues. The senator says they hope to keep the pressure on the U.S. Postmaster General to address the problems. If you would like to take the Fix My Mail survey, head to valleynewslive.com and click on this story.
From St. Paul, the Minnesota House passed a bill today to legalize some fireworks that you can't buy in the state currently. If the bill becomes law, you might be able to get some of the more powerful fireworks by July 4th. Minnesotans by the thousands crossed the borders into Wisconsin and North Dakota on Independence Day to get fireworks that are banned in the land of 10,000 lakes. Supporters of the legislation say that costs Minnesota $5 million in lost taxes. The new bill would allow Minnesotans to buy audible and aerial fireworks like big bottle rockets and some firecrackers. And local governments could ban sales if they choose. Now, the bill would also allow Minnesota merchants to create those pop-up fireworks stores we see around Independence Day.
Fargo City Commissioner Dave Pepcorn wants the city to make sure that the federal government pays its share of the flood diversion project. The latest figures say the diversion will cost $2.1 billion to build. The Fed's commitment has dropped from $846 million to $450 million, leaving the state and the city's share to be around $1.7 billion. Pepcorn says that's not viable and leaves the city in a bind.
The congressional delegation, they're going to tell us, well, we can't do that. Well, who cares? They work for us. We have to hold their feet to the fire. We've been saying, okay, and we have to push back, and we have to push them.
Mayor Tim Mahoney said the diversion is needed, adding that without its protection, many homeowners in Fargo would have to pay higher flood insurance premiums.